I'm going to talk a little bit about the military's role in the Psy-Ops, this kind of stuff. So this has long been a big part of Myanmar's military, creating fear, creating terror. And we see this in other parts of the civil kind of wars in Myanmar that have been against some certain, particular ethnic groups, the Kachin, the Kayin, the Chin, all these different groups, the Shan armies, and so forth. We see that in the Rohingya crises, not just the main one in 2017, but in other ones as well. So some of that has had to over time has had to do with creating so much fear that people can't do anything else, and using things like murder, using things like rape, using things like torture to make the populace bend to their in fear to their rule. And we are starting to see some of that stuff. We certainly are seeing that stuff now. So some of that stuff that we're seeing would be in the early kind of first few weeks of the coup. It would be the cutting of the internet access at night. This sort of way of disconnecting people from the rest of the world. And that connection to the rest of the world has been one thing that has brought strength to people over the course of these last few weeks since the coup on February 1st. So internet being cut off at certain times, the midnight raids that would happen. So the military would come in the cover of darkness into neighborhoods and go break into people's houses, arrest them, take them away, and hold them for a day, a week, a month. They still may even be held, charged or not. It doesn't really matter. The courts are kangaroo courts anyways now. Random people being shot. So there'd be people on the front lines who are shot, oftentimes headshots. This goes back to a long time kind of Myanmar military sort of thing where they just like, hey, we're not shooting, when we're shooting, we're not playing around, And so those headshots very much like, if they do that to a couple of protesters, then that tells protesters that anybody can be next because they're picking out particular people if they want to. And random people being shot. This is sometimes people like, riding by on their motorbikes, not even involved in any of the protest stuff, and them being shot, them being killed. People who are filming, of course, definitely being targeted. These random beatings that are happening, and abductions. There have been, at this point, at least 2 members of the NLD, the National League of Democracy, who were involved with the party who won this past election, who were abducted from their homes, and the next day or within days, their dead bodies are returned, or their families are told, oh, hey, come and pick them up. And the military, they just say, oh, well, that person was just trying to escape or something like that, when it is very, very obvious that that wasn't the case. So we're seeing more and more of that kind of brutality, the use of torture, the use of murder, targeting political opposition, targeting activists, these sorts of things, as a way. As of this point, the internet has been cut for the vast majority of people. Right now we are March 20th. And mobile internet has completely been cut for days, and it's just people that have Wi-Fi. That's very, very small percentage of the population. So it's been very, very hard to get information around, and it's that sort of space where people can't get good information, where rumors end up running wild, and little bits of information that are maybe fed in can help kind of like create that that environment of fear.